Hi, Nick here from Trainer Plus. Just wanted to put something together based off of everything that's happening right now for the fitness industry, as well as been having lots of conversations with gym owners and other people who are trying to figure out what they can do and how they can approach the government specifically right now to help just survive through this what's going on right now with closures and restrictions and everything else. So I wanted to try and give some very real information, a real good argument to make to the government, something that the fitness industry can get behind, and for those people who are out there speaking with especially provincial government officials, the type of argument that needs to be made about how to get some financial relief to help the industry through this. So, as we said, the reality right now is cases are on the rise. More restrictions and closures have been coming in different places all through Canada, and the gym industry is hurting. Revenues are down. They've been down for a long time. People are looking at how much runway they really have to survive through this. So obviously, gyms are closed, for the good of public health. We understand that. We understand that it's not just gyms. There's other businesses that are closed as well, and the gyms have been deemed a high risk. But the reality is the fitness industry really wants to be part of the solution and have an engagement with the government to be a part of that. Now the risk is that as gyms continue to be closed and restricted and revenues are down, there's a real risk that a lot of gyms aren't going to survive through this. That there could be gym closures, people can go out of business, and there's a lot of anxiety right now around that from gym owners, obviously, and how the government can help, what we can do to be, like I said, a part of that, really a part of that solution. So the risk is that unless something happens for the gyms to get financial relief and the fitness industry to get some financial relief from the government, then there are going to be gym failures. And the reality is, if that happens, you're going to see a contraction of the fitness industry, which can have serious long-term effects and short-term effects on Canadians, on the economy, and definitely on the industry itself. So if there is that contraction, if there is that contraction, then you're going to have gym closures. There's not going to be gyms to come in and fill the void. It's a highly capital intensive business to get started, and you're not going to have people jump in and spend all that money to open up new places because there's demand for it when the business model really doesn't work anymore the way it has in the past. The other reality is the big gym chains and other gyms, they're not in a financial position to, buy up and consolidate other gyms that are closing the way that happened back in 2008 and other times that we've had, economic downturns. So what's going to happen is you're going to have a contraction of the amount of gyms that are out there, so the amount of fitness facilities that are out there for people to go to. Now, what that means in terms of the economic effects is there's going to be less jobs for fitness professionals. And because fitness professionals have a really specialized skill set, and if there's less gyms that are there, there's less places for those people to work, which means those people are going to be unemployed and have to retrain for new jobs and new industries, because there's no place that you can just take being a personal trainer, being a Group X instructor, and do it other than in gyms, realistically. The other thing is, if there's less place for people to practice fitness, there's going to be long-term effects on the healthcare system. We all know, fitness is the top form of preventative healthcare treatment in many cases. And for the population that is active and fit and going to gyms, that is preventing healthcare costs from people getting sick and the treatment that has to be had from that. Right now, the fitness industry is kind of being scapegoated, other industries as well, but the fitness industry is kind of being scapegoated, and we have to really understand the mandate that the government's going through right now. Number one, obviously, public health is coming first. They're putting public health over everything else at the expense of, the reality for business and the economics for businesses. Public health is the number one thing that they're looking at. The other thing is they're trying to prevent the load on hospitals. As the cases rise and there's more COVID, they're trying to keep people out of ICU beds, keep people out of the hospitals, and the other secondary things that are treated in hospitals, most of those resources are being redirected right now towards COVID. So they're trying to prevent as much load on hospitals as possible. The other thing they're trying to do is, as much as they can, prevent job loss. And we've seen programs go out to do that, whether it be wage subsidies and other things, serve to try and keep people having money and having money in the economy that can be spent. So that's really the mandate that the government's facing right now. The other reality is that only about 17% of people have a gym membership, which means 83% of the population are not gym members. They're not going to the gym for their fitness, or they're not participating in fitness at all. Only about 85% of Canadians or so are actually getting their weekly amount of activity that's needed. So there's this huge percentage of the population that is not currently active, that runs a higher risk for not just the comorbidity factors of COVID, but also for other healthcare issues. So there is that that cost on the healthcare system of people not being active enough, which we speak about all the time, but it's how do we engage that, and how do we make this tangible for the government to understand how the fitness industry kind of fits in this matrix of things for people. And there's obviously now also the risks of COVID, the comorbidities of COVID. If people are not active, and they have the higher risks of mental health is a big one that people talk about. Obesity, cardiac events, diabetes, all those things that are comorbidities for COVID, they're also things that fitness has a direct correlation to. So there's really two things the industry needs to do right now in terms of making this argument. One is the things I said about the reality of if there's a contraction in the industry, how that's going to affect things. One of the things that we need to think about is how we change that business model. That old business model doesn't work, and how we can change it to engage more people that are non-members, more people that are not currently active, and actually be a part of healthcare. The other side of it is engaging the government for direct financial relief, so that the gyms can stay alive, can stay open, and can stay there and be a part of the solution, as we talked about. So the industry, and the first part, there's lots of material that I've put out there about changing the business model, engaging with healthcare, all that other stuff. So I don't want to, talk about that too much. But the industry has to be really honest itself about the public perception, and also the perception from healthcare and the fitness industry, that oftentimes profits are put over results. And so it's more about making money than it is seeing people get healthy. And understand that people are in business, you have to be able to make money. But there is that perception out there, and the way that we do business has to change if we want to be an essential part and be able to work with the healthcare system. There is a way to focus on support, focus on service, focus on people's outcomes, and make money. And that needs an adaptation of the business model. The challenge here is that people like restaurants, they can do takeout. Stores can sell online. It's not the same that when fitness businesses just move to stream classes and virtual training, that it translates to, a continuation revenues. There's a bigger drop-off probably than other industries face. But it's really, at the same time, not about, comparing those industries. But it's a harder pivot to make, and it's a pivot that's necessary right now. Arguing with the government to stay open has proven to be really ineffective. They're not really listening, and no matter how safe gyms have been, proven to be, no matter what numbers we put out there, they're still going to continue to restrict and close gyms, along with other places, but especially gyms. And we've known this from all the efforts we've put forward. So if we want to be part of the solution, it has to be about helping to keep Canadians active, but we really need a change for this. And survival, from the financial standpoint and the ask from the government, is going to depend on a lot of things. Number one, obviously we want to keep asking about getting wage subsidies, the rent subsidies. Those subsidies have helped. They've minimized expense, but they haven't helped with fill the gap that is missing from revenues. But we need to continue to advocate for those. The other side of things is there's a couple other asks that we should be looking for the government. One is, a direct bailout like other industries have had. The fitness industry has made a huge sacrifice on behalf of public health, and it's cost our industry significantly, and we need money to make up that gap. They've bailed out other industries, especially at the federal level. We need to be talking about what that bailout looks like. The other reality is asking about money to make this adaptation for the business. There are funds out there to train people, to move digital, to innovate the business, especially at the provincial level. And I think that that's a more tangible ask, to ask for those types of funding in terms of what the pivot can be. Those funds can pay for that training, pay for software and development, pay for digital marketing to get the message out there. That will allow people to, move the business and drive new revenues from those markets. So that's really the ask that we need to be focusing on as an industry. We want to be part of the solution. We want to be in line with what the government mandate is here. So we need financial relief so that gyms can stay alive, gyms can make this pivot to be able to help more people. And if we're able to do that, the short-term cost of putting money into the industry there is going to save, long-term money in terms of unemployment, in terms of healthcare costs are going to happen on Canadians, and it's going to cost our government in the long term. So that's the argument we need to be making right now. I think that's where the energy needs to be going, given that, the other arguments haven't really had a huge effect. So I just implore everyone from the fitness industry to try and focus their energy on that. I know it's a really tough time right now, but taking that energy and focusing it on something that can help, and help in the short term and help in the long term, I think is where really the energy needs to go. So please, share this video with other fitness people. Hopefully we can get people aligned and working together around asking the same types of things. Contact me if you want help. You can email me, Nick, Nick, @trainerpl.us. If you want to get a hold of me. Hopefully we can add some numbers into this so we can actually attach for the politicians what the costs are that we're going to be saving in the long term, and I'd love some help from that if there's people out there with those types of numbers. And just let me know what other information, what other things you need, videos, materials, whatever it is that we need to get this movement going. I really believe that fitness can be a part of the healthcare system, and we all believe that we can be a part of solving what's happening right now in COVID. But keeping open and driving people to the gyms is just not it right now. So let's get together, let's make the right ask, let's make the right argument to the government for the financial relief that the industry needs in order to survive and even thrive and help more Canadians stay and be active. Thanks.